Welcome to Cooking and Cocktails, where we're bringing you the hottest chefs and mixologists right into your kitchen for an interactive cooking class. My name is Angela Minardi, and I'm your host and owner at Fit City Adventures. So I'm here today with Frankie Thahelt. He is the Director of Mixology at Snake Oil Cocktail Company here in sunny San Diego. And we will be making an amazing summertime drink for you here today. Frankie, what are we making?
Yeah, we're gonna make a very fun variation of a smash cocktail called the Blue Tide. So appropriately, some of these ingredients we're using today are some that are coming into season right now. Fresh blueberries, which I love for their antioxidant properties. I have them on my granola almost every morning. We're gonna have some fresh mint, which is just really vibrant and some great taste profile as well as a olfactory profile. Fresh squeezed citrus, which is really good to help boost your alkalinity levels. Our sweetener we're gonna use today is agave nectar. Simple syrup made from a good source of cane sugar can also be a really good substitute for that. The other things we might mention just in the ingredient side are we have two different spirits. I'm recommending that this particular variation of this smash would go fantastic with either a real clean multi-grain vodka or perhaps just a London dry style gin that's got really kind of moderated juniper levels, which will really actually coalesce with the mint flavor really well. So I'm gonna go into kind of the steps of making it, and if you're at home, you can follow along with me. I'll give you some tips on how to do it if you don't have the tools in front of you that I might have here. So for starters, we're gonna go ahead and take our fruit. Now, a smash basically is kind of what it sounds like. It's taking a bunch of ingredients, smashing them together. The original whiskey smash was created in 1862, and it was basically a compromise between a whiskey sour and a mint julep. So some of these ingredients were put together, the entire lemon and mint were all smashed together. In this case, we're modifying it for modern day a little bit. We're gonna go with some fresh blueberries. I'm gonna use about 6 or 7 blueberries. And what we're gonna basically do is macerate this until it's just basically almost liquid. It's pretty quick and easy to do with blueberries. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add some fresh mint. I recommend about 6 to 8 leaves of moderate size. Obviously, if you have huge mint leaves, you may want to use a few less. And if you have smaller mint leaves, you may want to use a few more. And you kind of customize that to taste. So I'm going to go ahead and take my mint, drop it in. Now, I don't necessarily want to over macerate my mint. That's why I did it secondly. If I do, I'm going to bring out a lot of the chlorophyll qualities and bitterness out of the actual leaves. So I basically just kind of want to wake up that mint till I start to smell it. Once I start to smell it coming out of that tin, that's when I know I've done it enough. Next, we're gonna add some of our other ingredients here. I'll start with my citrus. If you have a chance to squeeze your citrus ahead of time, after a few hours, you'll find you'll get more floral notes, a little bit lighter on the acidity. So a little bit of oxidation actually helps your citrus. We're gonna use 3/4 of an ounce. If you have a jigger at home, then you'll be able to measure that exactly. If you don't have a jigger and you have tablespoon measures at home, essentially a half ounce is equal to 1 tablespoon. So 1.5 tablespoons gets you 3/4 of an ounce of your lemon citrus. The next ingredient, agave nectar. In this particular case, I'm gonna use a full ounce of agave nectar, which would be 2 tablespoons of that said agave. The next ingredient is a choice of your alcohols. And I'm actually a huge gin fan, so I'm gonna actually go towards using a London style gin. The juniper and some of the citrus peels and other things that are used in this really work well and balance with this cocktail. We're gonna use 1.5 ounces, which is kind of a standard shot, or 3 tablespoons. Pour it in. If you really like to taste your alcohol, you could add another 1/2 ounce, but I think try it this way first and see how you like it. Then we have to get our vessel ready. I recommend for this particular cocktail using a double old-fashioned glass. There's about 13 or 14 ounces. Put some ice in there, and then we're gonna add a little bit of ice to our mixing tin. Now we shake our cocktail to mix it, to chill it, and to dilute it. Pretty much any shake that you wanna work with is your own style and your own flair. There's no right or wrong way to do this. The main thing is we wanna chill and mix our cocktail. Now I only need to do that about 13 seconds or so, just enough to mix it and chill it. I'm not making a a real frosty cold martini. This is also going to go over fresh ice. This will keep this ice from melting by the fact we did it before. Now you might notice I have a Hawthorne strainer right here. If you close the gate on your Hawthorne strainer, you're going to be able to pull out some of that pulp from the blueberries and mint, and you'll get a nice, clean, lavender-looking cocktail. There we go, perfect pour. The last part of this is just something for the visuals and possibly olfactory. We want to put a garnish on here. I like to use something that's already in the cocktail if possible. So I'm going to add a little bit of a fresh mint sprig. What I'm going to do is take my mint. You might see a lot of people, they'll lightly slap the herb. That basically breaks the skin a little bit, lets the oils out so you start to smell it a little bit. And the only other ingredient I like to have sometimes is some dried citrus. I keep it on hand at home for occasions like this, which you can make in a dehydrator if you have one, and it just adds a little bit extra color. And then we can turn our cocktail around, and we've got a Blue Tide cocktail. Cheers.
Beautiful.
You want to try it?
Nice and easy. Let's try it.
All right,
yeah.
you first.
All right. Oh, wow. Super refreshing.
Cheers.
Delicious.
Well, I hope you enjoy.
I'm here today with Paula Sturm. Paula is a functional nutritionist, a registered dietitian, and a health-focused chef. Today we're going to be making a lovely salad dish and a really yummy salmon pasta. Paula, what are we starting with today?
We're going to start with a radicchio and endive salad with some parsley, some dried cranberries, and some toasted pumpkin seeds.
Awesome. Show us how to get started.
All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is actually toast our pumpkin seeds. That's really important. So in a dry skillet, you don't need any oil. You're gonna put 3 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds into a pan, and then you're gonna put it on medium-high heat, and you're gonna toast them just till they get a little bit brown, and you're gonna actually hear them pop a little bit and plump up. So that's what we're gonna do first. And then while that's happening, we're gonna start preparing our salad greens. So we have some radicchio, we have some endive or endive, however you'd like to pronounce it. We have some parsley. And so we're gonna just start chopping some things up and putting it in a salad bowl. So we'll start with the endive. We're gonna peel off some of these layers. I'm gonna peel off this first layer. It's just a little brown, so we're gonna take those off. And then we're gonna peel some of the really nice leaves here and then chop those into about 1-inch pieces, about bite size really. And if you wanna make it really fancy, you can leave them whole if you'd like. Peel some of those leaves off, and then we're gonna chop those up. So endive is really nutritious actually. You wouldn't think so because it's kind of white, but it is actually really full of water and a lot of fiber. So it's really good for your digestive health. And there's actually a lot of minerals in here as well as vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin K. So give it a shot. It's really nice. It's super low calorie and really filling because of all that water and fiber. We're gonna take this handful of leaves and put it in our salad bowl here. And then move on to our radicchio. So radicchio is great. It's this nice little purple lettuce, and I'm really into purple foods just because they have really good antioxidant properties, so full of those great purple nutrients that we don't actually get enough of in our diet. So I'm gonna just cut off some of the edges here. There's a core in here that we wanna avoid. So I'm just gonna chop off this little edge here to avoid that core. We missed it here. So, and then I'm gonna cut this in 1-inch chunks roughly as well. So I'm just gonna slice it in a couple sections and then slice it again to get that 1-inch pieces, and sprinkle that in there as well. And then we're gonna also wanna top this with some parsley. So roughly 3 tablespoons or so of parsley. I like to rip off the woodier ends of the parsley and then just wrap it in a ball. And you don't have to be too picky. If you get some stems in there, that's not a big deal. But parsley is super nutritious, and I'm a big fan of getting tons of herbs in your diet. So wherever I can sneak them in, I do. But parsley is wonderful. It has a really mild flavor, so it's really easy to add into a lot of different dishes, but it's also super nutritious. It's actually antibacterial, so it's great to eat with food because it helps kill some of those potential bacteria that you could be exposed to while you're eating. Plus, it's also really packed with vitamins A and K, so it's really good for your bone health as well as your digestion, and a lot of vitamin C as well. And plus all that green is a bunch of chlorophyll. So we're gonna put that in there. Then we're also gonna put in some dried cranberries. So these are awesome. These are super plump dried cranberries, and they're actually sweetened with apple juice instead of regular sugar. So it's just a little healthier, still a little sweet, but not overly sweet. So we're gonna have about 3 tablespoons of those. And since these are nice and plump, I'm just gonna give them a little bit of a chop. You don't have to. If you have normal cranberries that are a little smaller, you can just leave those whole. And cranberries are wonderful. They are actually really antiviral, great for your immune system. And they're also really good for your digestive system as well. And we're gonna top those in there. And then we're also gonna then top our salad with some of our toasted pumpkin seeds. And we're gonna let that sit while we make the dressing. So we're gonna have this bowl here. And in this bowl, I'm gonna move some of these things out of the way. We're gonna make a nice vinaigrette with some white wine vinegar, some honey, and some Dijon. All right, so with the dressing, we're gonna have some white wine vinegar. So we're gonna have 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. And you can eyeball it if you like. I'm the kind of cook that likes to eyeball and not measure, but I'm gonna measure today. And so this white wine vinegar is actually gonna help dissolve the salt, the honey, and the Dijon. So we're gonna add those things first before we drizzle in the olive oil. So then we're gonna put in roughly a tablespoon, or not quite a tablespoon, maybe about a half a tablespoon or so of honey. And I like to use a raw honey. So you'll see this is a raw organic honey, and I like to make sure my honey is from the United States. But a raw honey is actually super nutritious. So it has a lot of antibacterial, antimicrobial compounds to it. So it's really healthy for you. It's also really good for your digestive system too. So we're actually making a salad that's super for your digestive system. So we're just gonna mix that in a little bit. And then we're gonna add about a teaspoon or so of Dijon mustard. So this is a smooth Dijon. Put some of that in there. Nice and tangy, and mustard actually helps emulsify the oil into the vinegar. So not only does it add a great flavor to the dressing, but it also has a purpose of keeping it held together really well. And then we're gonna add a little bit of salt. So you can use however much salt you need. Some people's diets require less salt, and you can use less salt, that's fine. I'm gonna use roughly a teaspoon of salt in mine, and I'm using sea salt. So nice coarse Celtic sea salt. And so we're gonna wanna mix that together so that acid can dissolve that sea salt. And I really like to use sea salt because it offers a lot of different minerals in it as well. So more than just the sodium and chloride that normal salt has. So you're getting a well-balanced salt, so it works better in your body. All right, so then we're gonna add a little bit of pepper. Nice coarse, freshly ground black pepper. And then we're gonna start streaming in our oil. So I have a really good olive oil here from California. And olive oil is super nutritious, very heart healthy, getting those healthy fats in our diet. And so I'm gonna drizzle in roughly 3 tablespoons of oil. So I'm gonna drizzle it in nice and slow while I whisk to help emulsify even more. If you were to just dump the oil in here, it wouldn't mix up as well. So you do want to drizzle it slowly. And you're going to want to notice when it gets just a little bit thick, which looks about like that. And then we're going to top it over our salad and mix it up. And I don't like to overdress my salads, so I'm going to just make sure that I don't use too much dressing on my salad. So I may have some left over, which is fine. Toss it up with the salad forks here, and that looks perfect. So as you can see, nice and colorful. You're getting a lot of bright white, some purple, a lot of green in there. So nice and refreshing, perfect for spring, and very seasonal. All right, so now we're gonna make a lentil pasta with seared salmon, asparagus, and peas. So this is a really great spring dish as well because fresh peas are really in season, as well as asparagus. Today I'm going to be using some frozen peas, so you can also do that when it's out of season. But if you can find fresh peas in the farmer's market right now, definitely use the fresh ones. So before we start cooking or making the pasta, we're going to make a dressing. So in a small bowl, we're going to start with some mayonnaise. So I have this Chosen Foods mayo here. You can use your favorite mayo, a vegan mayo or an egg-based mayo like this one is, your choice. So we're going to use about 3 tablespoons of mayo. So you can roughly measure, it doesn't have to be exact. So this will add a nice creamy element to the dish. Then we're also going to use some lemon. So this is really going to brighten it up and take away some of that fattiness and really make this dressing nice and bright. We're also going to use some zest. I love using the zest of lemons primarily because this is actually where the nutrition is in this yellow part. So I try to use the zest as often as possible. It has all those really nice essential oils in it. So I'm going to zest on my zester here the lemon. So you really want to get just the yellow part. You don't want to get into the white part, which is called the pith, because that's where it's actually a little bitter. So you just want to get that nice yellow part with all that essential oils, and you'll really start smelling that lovely lemon scent, which is one of my favorite scents. Zest that in there, put that aside, and then we're also going to use the juice. So I'm going to cut this in half and take my little juicer here and squeeze the juice of that lemon right in there, as much of that lemon as possible. All right, and then to this, we're going to add a little bit of salt to your taste. It's as much or as little as you desire. I'm going to sprinkle some coarse sea salt in there. I'm going to grab my whisk and start whisking that together. And then we're going to add some herbs. So herbs are really important to add to a dish just because it adds some lovely flavor and also a ton of nutrition. I'm going to be adding some tarragon, which is a great flavor that goes well with salmon, as well as a really great springtime flavor. So I'm going to use about a teaspoon. So I'm going to just rip off about a teaspoon of these leaves. So it's interesting that tarragon's really high in iron actually. So it's really good to boost up your iron levels. And it's also just rich in a lot of phytonutrients. Herbs are powerhouses as far as nutrition goes. You don't need a lot of herbs in order to get a lot of nutrition. So just this small little teaspoon is going to offer a great boost of flavor as well as nutrition. I'm going to put that in there, mix that up, and then we're going to just put this to the side, and we are going to start making the rest of our dish. So the next thing you want to do is actually make your pasta. I'm using a lentil pasta. You can use any kind of pasta you like. I really love using lentil pasta because it adds a lot of protein and a lot of fiber. And this one happens to be red, which is kind of fun. They also have green ones as well. So choose whichever pasta you find enjoyable. And you're going to cook it to the package directions. Now, when there's 2 minutes left of cooking on that pasta, you're going to want to add in some asparagus. So with the asparagus, I'll just show you a little trick here. When you're cutting up the asparagus, you're going to want to take off the woody ends. And the best way to do that is to break just like that. Super simple. And it'll break off this woody part, and this will be the tender part. So again, just holding it sort of with your fingers at the end and right in the middle, and just bend, and where it naturally breaks is naturally where you're going to have the nice tender pieces. And then you're going to cut those up into 2-inch chunks. And then with 2 minutes left of that pasta cooking, you're going to add them into your pan. Then with 1 minute left of cooking, you're going to add in your peas. So I have a package of frozen peas here, some organic frozen peas, but you can also use your fresh peas as well. So with that last minute, you're going to dump in those peas and then finish cooking those vegetables and the pasta. Then you're going to drain that in a colander. And you're going to have some pasta, asparagus, and peas cooked all in one dish. So while that's all done, we're going to also cook the salmon. So with the salmon, you're going to want to cut them into even portions. We have 4 servings that are going to be served with our meal. So you're going to take the salmon flesh side down. With the skin, you're going to take your knife and score just into the skin just a little bit to prevent that skin from curling up. Then you're gonna take it into your pan, cook it skin side down on the pan, and it depends on how thick your salmon is, how long you're gonna wanna cook it. I have really thin sockeye salmon, so it's wild caught sockeye salmon. I really like to choose wild caught salmon and not farm raised, more nutritious. It's raised in the wild, so it's getting the proper nutrition it needs. It's not raised in a farm just eating feed. So you do want to really use wild caught salmon, and it just so happens sockeye salmon's in season now, so that's what I'm using. And typically sockeye salmon's a little thinner. So if you're using like a wild king salmon, that's a little thicker, you're gonna want to cook it a little longer. So I cook it flesh side down just for a couple minutes, just till the skin is not sticking to the bottom of the pan. Then I flip it over, cook it on the other side for just a little bit of time to cook the top. And then you're gonna take it out of the pan, and then you're going to serve it on top of your pasta. So this is how you assemble. So you're gonna take a serving bowl. You're gonna dump your pasta, your peas, and your asparagus into the bowl here. Take a spoon. You're gonna take your dressing, pour that onto the pasta and peas and asparagus. Stir that up. And then it's up to you. You can take the salmon and crumble it into the salad. All right, so this is how you're gonna wanna serve. You're gonna take your pasta and your peas on a nice plate here with the dressing. You're gonna top it off with a piece of salmon, and then you're gonna garnish. I love to use a little bit of a garnish. I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna take a couple green onions, chop off the ends here. Now, green onions are in the onion family, so they do offer all of that great nutrition that onions tend to offer. So very antibacterial, antiviral, boost your immune system, which is really important, and offers a lot of great nutrition, a lot of antioxidants, and a lot of vitamins and minerals. So you'll take those and chop those up really fine. I like to cut them on a little bias, a little angle, just to offer a little interest and a little more surface area. Get some of that green portion in there. Sprinkle that, sprinkle that on top of the salmon. And then your dish is ready to serve.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode of Cooking and Cocktails. Stay tuned for future episodes where we bring you the healthiest foods and yummiest drinks in town. Stay tuned and follow us on Fit City Adventures on Instagram and on fitcityadventures.com for more recipes and classes.